So I watched Fern Gully again. Avatar. Avatar. Sorry. I I always get Fern Gully and Pocahontas mixed up. Avatar. Avatar. I have to remember I saw Avatar again. Avatar. Yeah, this is my second look at Avatar. Um, I wanted to rewatch the film again before the film inevitably hits Disney Plus. And I knew I wasn't going to want to watch these films directly back to back because it's a lot of time commitment. You have to have 2 days where you have the time, or one day where you just, I don't know, glutton for punishment. I don't know what the correct word is for that. But I do not, I this is only the second time I've seen Avatar, by the way. I saw it once in theaters when I could see. I actually participated in there was a release of like 30 minutes of Avatar into an IMAX as like a special preview before Avatar came out. And I saw that. So I've seen Avatar like 2.25 times. I don't know what the percentage rate of that is, but yeah, this is my second time sitting through the entirety of Avatar, and it's funny because I haven't seen the film since 2009. It's 2023, so it's been a while, and actually, I remembered pretty much everything, plot wise, and that really ended up helping. So, there were a couple of things where I forgot. I was like, how does this happen? Where was that? I couldn't quite remember like when something took place in this long ass film. But this is on Disney Plus and it has audio description. And as a reminder to those of you who are new, I'm a blind film critic. We exist. We're out there in the world. So this is my first time being able to talk about Avatar from the blind perspective. Is it fun at all? And this one is also something I've seen before. So was it the fun second time around? Yeah, actually it was. I actually had fun the second time around. I don't think this is something I want to watch all the time, but I think this is something that I can have fun with every once in a while. I probably could have seen it sometime within the last 13 years, but it's that runtime that makes you. It's the same thing with The Godfather. It's why I don't just sit down and watch The Godfather all the time. You gotta really be in the mood for long films. It's not necessarily fair because some long films you're more in the mood for than others. So I'm not saying I don't watch long films. It's just when you feel in the mood for a certain thing and have the time for it, have to align at the same moment. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. But like I said, I'm preparing for The Way of Water to hit Disney Plus, which will inevitably happen whether James Cameron wants it to or not at some point. So I can get this out of the way. And so let's talk about it. Sam Worthington is in this, and we really tried to make Sam Worthington happen, didn't we? James Cameron really helped. He put him in Avatar and Terminator Salvation. So he thought Terminator Salvation would help Sam Worthington's career. A lot of people put Sam Worthington in a lot of things. Remember Clash of Titans? Sam Worthington was set up to be an A-lister. And if you look at Sam Worthington today, he was like, thank God I'm signed to Avatar 2. thank God. The 13 years has not been kind to his career. He just has not proven himself bankable as an actor outside of his franchise. And he's been in big films, so he's made money at the box office, but then he goes off and he does something like Man on a Ledge, and people just go, no, fuck you, go away. So it's like So he just leaves, and we're like, where did Sam Worthington go? Well, we stopped watching his movies, but he'll be back for Avatar 2, thanks to sequel clauses. Um, yeah, he's incredibly average in this film, which is I think what they need for Jake Sully. He's by far the weakest actor in this in this series. Um, I didn't realize how good Zoe Saldana was in this film until I rewatched it again, and I was like, my God. I mean, there's so many minutes of rage that she has in this thing, little bursts that are so intense. She brings so much to her role um, that it was really great to see. The weird thing is that because I can't see, I mean, like I know what the Avatar looked like, I know what the Na'vi look like, and I kind of think about like if I never knew what the Na'vi looked like, what would I be imagining? Because I don't think the film did an excellent job of fully describing the Na'vi. It did as best as it could, but from what I remember of the Na'vi, I didn't feel like it lined up with that. It's sort of like it gives you a little bit of a description about every single um, animal or Na'vi, I guess, is the only race of humanoids. But for all the other alien species of animals, it kind of gives just like, a little description of them, and your brain has to fill in the rest. Um, it's not an overly descriptive film, and the glory of Pandora too, the way that the film looks. I kind of felt like I was a little bit disappointed in the audio description. I don't know that I would be if I had never seen Avatar. It's just the fact that I've seen Avatar. There's a reason that a film like this gets a Best Picture nomination, and it's because it was so inventive visually and stunning visually, and he created this big world, and the trees, like the Tree of Souls, deserves its own sort of substantial description. Um, and there were many moments where I just felt like we got a little, sliver of something, and then our brain fills in the rest. My brain filled in what it remembered from seeing the film. I don't know that everybody else's brain is going to fill in that. I'm sure there are plenty of blind people who have seen an Avatar film who have a very different perception of what a Na'vi looks like than what it actually does on screen. So, just a thought. I know that we tried. There were little moments. Talked about like the freckles lighting up on his face. So you can talk about sort of how they have these natural features, how the energy moves through them, and they're more connected to the. We are connected to each other in a love. That was my Pocahontas reference. And that was Colors in the Wind. There was a little bit of Colors in the Wind there, in case you didn't pick up on that. Yeah. It's... So, it's a tall order. This film is a tall order. This film is basically green screen. This film is almost entirely green screen. From what I understand, the sequel is even more so. Because of how we left the film, how we left Avatar with Jake being an avatar, like, permanently. We've lost a human, so he's now completely in a motion capture suit. And that's sort of where we left it off, and Sigourney Weaver plays a Na'vi. So it's just a lot of the people who came back play Na'vi, who are mocap performers, and thus need more audio description. And I'm anxious to see Avatar, The Way of Water, because I noticed when I was going through Star Wars films that the Star Wars films had certain amounts of audio description at certain points for certain characters based on their entry points. But it did not have it for in every film. It did not assume that you were starting at a certain point. So you had to start at the point that the narration team assumed you would be starting at. I believe it was from going through it. I believe it was chronologically released. I think it was by release date is how you were introduced to the character, and that's how you got your audio description. So you had to watch 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, and so if you tried to watch it in a different order, and a character, if it was your first time watching Star Wars, or you want to sit down with your kid and watch Star Wars for the first time, and you watch things out of order, you're going to get some light character description on some characters that already existed. But then later on, you'll get, substantial character description. And that includes the side movies like Rogue One and Solo. So I don't know I don't know if the description is actually going to get better or worse for the new one. I know that the other one was older, in 2009. This is a British dude. We may have brought in an American narrator for Way of Water. That may be where we landed. There was a huge difference just in the Black Panther descriptions from the first to the second. And that was not nearly the same amount of time as the Avatar sequels. So I'm interested to see how that pans out. But the weird thing was I didn't feel the runtime on Avatar. It's like, it's long, but I really have to applaud. I mean, I joke about Avatar and make fun of it, but it's actually expertly paced. It's actually a good film. It deserves to be where it is. I really didn't have any problems with it. The only problems that I had with it is that the plot isn't necessarily revolutionary and is very derivative of many other things that we've seen before, and not necessarily anything that James Cameron would acknowledge. I think he thinks he's the first person that came up with this tree of life concept. And he's not. Or, bulldozing the forests. I mean, there's so many themes. That's what the joke is that there's so many themes in Avatar that are present in Avatar that were present in other movies way before Avatar. So, James Cameron thinks he's the Lorax and he's speaking for the trees in this film, but really, we had films that already did that during my childhood. So, it's just kind of that's the one thing that is always the takeaway for me is, he made it look really cool and flipped it around, but for me now, I don't get the wonder of the visual effects. I do get some of it because I did see it one time, so a lot of times when the movie's hitting me, I can remember certain things, and I remember what the Na'vi look like, and these actors, Sigourney Weaver, Michelle Rodriguez, and I'm able to just fill in, and that's what happens. So, it's that little bit of feeling of deja vu that Avatar has always had from people who watch certain movies growing up. And I don't think James Cameron has ever really fully addressed that. I don't think he's ever just been like, oh yeah, by the way, turns out I may not have, this may not be as glowingly original. I don't think he would ever admit to that. I think he's like, this all came from my brain. I was the first person to think of it, just because that's the kind of person James Cameron is he's, like, zoned in and honed in on, he focuses so hard on these projects, which is why it takes so long for them to come out. That yeah, I think he believes he invented these concepts, but we've just seen them before. He's just repurposed them. Anyway, it was a fun watch, and it's on Disney Plus. The acting is a lot better than I ever gave it credit for. I was actually really happy with it. The pacing is great. I don't know that there's anything necessarily about the story that blew me away, and I still kind of feel that way to this day. I think the most interesting thing is the Avatar link, and how that works, and the fact that there's this tree of souls that is able to finally, it couldn't quite transfer Grace, but it transferred Jake. So look at what truly has the most powerful thing. When they say that the treasures are all around them, they're not just in the ground. They really mean that. They really mean, we're destroying things that are far more important than this random God damn it, that's such a stupid name. Unobtainium? Come on now. Like this. It sounds asinine. I laughed. I forgot it was called unobtainium. And I giggled. I was like, oh, that's right. They named it some dumb shit. Totally forgot Giovanni Ribisi was in this. That was one of the things. I'm gonna fully admit to that. When he popped up, I was like, what? I literally went to IMDb and I was like, Giovanni Ribisi was in this? Yeah, I totally forgot that. He was the one that surprised me, where it just came out of nowhere, and I was like, whoa. But otherwise, yeah, I can remember most of it, considering I haven't seen the film in 13 years and I've only seen it once. It was pretty good. I had about 80% of it. I forgot how Jake becomes his avatar. I forgot about the Tree of Souls doing it for him. Forgot about that whole sequence. So, but I knew he gets transferred. Spoiler alert, I guess, for a film that's 13 years old and is like the third highest grossing movie. Second, what is it? What is it now? Like first, second, third, something like that? It's like one of the most... Technically, you should have seen this film. Like, basically, statistically speaking, you should have seen this film. I didn't even put a spoiler alert on it. This is like Titanic. I'm talking about Titanic, and I'm talking about like the ship sinking or something, and somebody being like, "Oh, spoilers." It's like, okay. Yeah, you should have seen Avatar by now. So I don't feel bad about it if I spoil it for you. You're like, oh, I was waiting for all 5 of them to come out. It's like, you could be dead by that point. That's not something you should realistically sit around and wait for. At the rate he's putting them out, there will be people who will not live to see the end of the Avatar franchise. Actually, James Cameron probably would not live at the rate of 30. He does not have that much time left. He's not that young. So, it's entirely possible that at the rate they put them out, James Cameron may not see Avatar 5. So they got to speed up the production if he wants to see the end of his own franchise. But all that silly talk that he had before, when it was kind of doom and gloom, when they were talking about, will there be... Because he kind of backed off of 4 and 5, because he really only has footage shot for 3 right now. Like, 3 is for certain. He was like, I don't know about 4 or 5. We're going to have to look at the box office for 2. I don't know, and see what happens. Because some people didn't think Avatar 2 was going to be as big as Avatar 1. And then lo and behold, America loves Avatar. So everything's fine. I'm sure Cameron was like, well, I guess we're doing 4 and 5. So, I also noticed that he's basically making Magic the Gathering. So, it's really hard for me to, like, see the things and then I can't look away. He started out in the forest, and then he moved to the water, and then he's doing fire. And if 4 and 5 take place in plains and swamp, he just made a Magic the Gathering. He just, obviously James Cameron plays Magic the Gathering. So two we're literally two biomes away from a Magic the Gathering completion. Yeah. So just fun fact about that, I guess. I don't know. Just a little thing I thought about. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna give Avatar an A minus. That's what I would have given it back then. That's what I would have given it now. It's just some parts of it are a little giggly and a little eye rolly, because it's like, oh god, I've been here before. Oh my god, okay. But most of it is great. Yeah. I even with an A minus, I don't disagree with the fact that it deserves its Best Picture nomination, because that's just my opinion. It's just one person. Like I wouldn't put it as like one of my favorite films of all time. That's why it took 13 years for me to watch it again. So yeah, or 14 technically now. I mean, we've bled over into 2023. Even though this film is technically released at the end of the year, it's really only like, a little bit over that. But anyway, yeah, it's it's out there. So watch it on Disney Plus. It's got audio description, and the audio description is, I'm gonna be honest, just like mildly disappointing. I don't know that I would know that if I was blind watching this for the first time, but as somebody who saw the film and then saw this film with audio description, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like, in terms of it describing action sequences, it does a really good job of that. In terms of it describing Pandora and its contents and the things in it, it does an average job. It just kind of gives you a general, like a gist. But oftentimes you don't even know what color something is. Like, it doesn't even bother to tell you, like, the color of the fur or the skin or whatever on something. So, on some of these creatures. Anyway, just a thought. It needs better audio description at some point down the line. It's made enough money. We can pay for it. I actually have a feeling that realistically, like, if I brought James Cameron in, like if we were buddies and I texted him, I was like, hey James, come over to my house, we're gonna watch Avatar. And then he watched the audio description. There would be new audio description on this film. I don't think he would like it. I just don't think he's heard the audio description track. I think if he thought this was the representation for his film, he would immediately commission, and he would direct and produce his own audio description track that somehow finds ways of creating the kind of visual wonder that he wants, but creating it verbally. So don't pat yourselves on the back with this one. This one is a little below average. Sorry. That's what I'm here to say, right? This is why people like me, is because I critique audio description. And this is something I actually can say. I'm saying it because I visually saw Avatar, and now I'm not able to see Avatar, and the audio description is it's not what it needs to be. But thanks for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe so I can continue to talk about films with audio description. I'm trying to advance audio description for blind people so that we can have it on every title, everywhere, all the time. Doesn't matter what service it moves to, doesn't matter what title you want to see, you should be able to click on it. It should be accessible for you. So, hashtag narrate everything. So, I also have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. That'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know who's narrating your favorite films and TV shows. The weird thing is that I assume this is the old audio description. I don't know if they used new audio description when they did the re-release back in September. So I don't even know if this is new or old. But yeah. So there you go. I'm assuming it's old, but it didn't really sound that old. I don't know, but 2009 isn't really that old. So I don't know. I don't know if this is original or if this is like an updated audio description. Nobody told me. I will watch something else for you guys and see you on the other side.